Do what now? I don't have all.
Welcome to this Thursday morning edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham and Neal McCready, Clark Ford studio here with you this morning. We'll also welcome in Jeffrey Wright in a second to start the program. The program is brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West. And make your basketball game ticket a coupon at the Oxford Crystal right next door there on Highway 6. You do that, it's $1.50 off a sackful or a steamer pack with the Oxford Crystal, the Oxford Exxon. You got ribs, you got lunch specials. Those are $4.99 with 2 sides of bread, 32-ounce drinks, and more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900's that number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. The rest is up to you. You get your quote, you can shop it around, you can do what I've done, and that's hop into a Clark Ford. You'll love the product. You'll love the service after the sale. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll prove that to you when you call the number 662-257-1900. Guest join our little podcast on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters would be a great place this weekend to hang out before Alabama and Ole Miss, maybe after the baseball game. They'll have the game on the big screens, and then they'll have basketball on as well on all the screens there at Rafters. And then on Sunday, brunch begins at 10:45, featuring homemade biscuits and chicken and waffles, live bluegrass music, $2 mimosas, $5 famous Bloody Marys, and then don't forget, it's coming up soon, the Fat Tuesday party on February the 25th. Celebrate New Orleans style with DJ Drum, hurricanes, and daiquiris. All of that at Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. And now we go to the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. And our buddy Jeffrey Wright of 92.9 FM in Memphis. Jeffrey, how are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are y'all?
Just another day in rainy Oxford.
Are you doing better than little Mikey Bloomberg?
Yeah, Mikey Bloomberg had a tough time last night. I actually watched a little of the debate. I didn't watch much of it. I find the debates somewhat fascinating because in the end, I don't think they matter, because I think what matters is the ads. Because I'm convinced that we live in a society that is generally full of stupid people. I tell my kids all the time, just be average. Average makes you exceptional. If you're exceptional, you'll be a genius. And the Bloomberg ads are everywhere. I mean, dude is spending and spending and spending. You cannot. This is Mississippi. I mean, I'm going out on a limb here and telling you Donald Trump will win Mississippi.
You think?
Bloomberg's spending money in Mississippi.
See, I just don't know how it all works. I'll tell you where he's definitely spending money, like social, YouTube and social media, like on the internet. He's definitely spending money.
Yeah, there have been Bloomberg ads on our YouTube feed. That's what some of the some of the auction ads are Bloomberg ads.
I'm trying to see. Does he have kids? Because if he has kids, I would be so pissed at him right now. You are spending my money, Mikey. Knock it off.
Yeah, because I don't think he can win. I'm always amazed by the people who run for an office knowing you can't win the office and spending the kind of money and time that is required to run for something like president.
Right, and that's always kind of been my question with him. What is the motivation?
I don't know. I guess it's to have your name out there again. I don't know. Is it to impact what the Democratic Party does? Is it just to be a thorn in Trump's side? I don't know. It's fascinating to me.
But because he's 78 years old. It's not like you know what I mean? This isn't like you're trying to, okay, well, I'm positioning myself for 2024.
If you thought about this, Trump is what, 76?
I think that's correct.
So Bloomberg's 78. How old is Bernie Sanders?
He's 79, I think.
Is Bernie Sanders that old? Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's in his 70s, correct?
Correct.
How old is
Trump is 73. He will be 74 in Trump will be 74 in June.
Okay. How old is Elizabeth Warren? This isn't even about politics anymore. I'm just fascinated by the age of
Bernie's
these people.
78 right now.
Bernie's 78.
But he would turn 79 prior to November.
Okay. So he would be, if he were elected, he would be 79 on inauguration.
Because they were talking about, I was listening to something where they said, should he win by some chance, his next election, he would be 83 by the time the actual election would be.
Holy.
Yeah, that was the
Wait, are we allowed to ask Elizabeth Warren her age?
She is 70 years old.
So she's just a young buck in this thing.
She's a young pup in this thing.
According to the data that we have.
Michael Bloomberg has 2 daughters, Mr. Wright.
They're pissed. They should be angry right now. He is spending their money.
Money, Dad!
Well, one of them is, where's it at? I've got it right here. One of them is married to Christopher Fasora, who is a son of a multimillionaire businessman, Mark Fasora. So
yeah, that's not a billionaire.
Yeah. She grew
Chase,
up with B's, not M's.
There are several significant zeros after that on a millionaire.
Okay. Anyway. Whatever.
Just you keep waiting. Where's the 50-year-old dude running? I mean, that.
Yeah, whatever happened to the good old 56, the kids are in college, but,
that
he's
used to be the spot there.
How old was George W. Bush when he was elected? He was in his late 40s, right? Obama was in his 40s when he was elected.
I want to say Bush was in his 50s. Let me double check.
73 right now, so he's 53.
So he's 53 years old. Obama was in his 40s. I'm almost
correct.
Positive. Now they both.
No, he was. I can't remember if he was 44 or 42, but he was in the. He was. I think he was on the right side.
He's 58 now, so that was 12 years ago when he
46-ish.
He was in his mid 40s.
It's like coaching, man. Like you either go with the old retread or you go with Buttigieg.
Yeah, and Clinton, someone says, was 46 years old. So when he was elected, so we've gone from 3 consecutive kind of middle-aged guys in their 40s or early 50s in Bush's case to, hey, we're gonna go elect a really old dude at this point, or dude at this point. Because we're down to 4 people who have a chance to win, right? I mean, it's Trump.
Klobuchar.
She can't win.
Boy, she was feisty last night.
Well, they're at the point.
What was it? What was her line? She had an unbelievable line to Buttigieg. I'm sorry, Mayor Pete, we can't all be as perfect as you. It was so stingy. When you see someone when they get ripped and their shoulders immediately shrug. That's the first time I ever seen Buttigieg. I was like, ooh, yikes.
See, we're at the point already where if you're way behind. To make the football analogy, you just have to abandon the running game. It's time to air this thing out because you're either going to get back into it or you're going to
run anymore. This is whatever the game plan was coming in. I mean, you might put one running back on the field, but for the most part, you are spreading out and you are throwing.
Yeah, you're not kidding anybody. You're throwing the ball on every play, trying to get back into it. I don't know.
Isn't this great? Yeah. Who are the 4 guys you think you'd win? Because I think there's one.
The people who have a chance. I mean, technically, Trump. I guess Sanders, Warren. I don't know if it's Buttigieg at this point or if it's Biden. I really thought Biden would be more of a factor, and he's just not.
Chase, I think you'll back me up. Remember that first debate when they had 35 people when they split the debate into 2 nights? Because they had that many people, and
4 years ago.
I just remember texting Chase in a group chat that we're in. I was like, "This is not going to go well for him." He looked senile, he didn't understand questions. In the end, there is a celebrity element of this, and a popularity contest, and it was just obvious. Being the elder statesman and whatnot, that does not matter.
No, I don't know. At some point, I'm going to get Austin Barber or some political people on just to sort of, because I'm just curious to see what they think. It's what's interesting to me. The most interesting thing to me about, and we'll get off politics here because otherwise we get killed more. We can talk politics. We can't talk professional sports, but we can talk politics.
The theater of politics.
One of the things that I find most fascinating about it is that the unquestioned leader as of this moment of the Democratic Party remains Barack Obama, and he continues to tell them, guys, you've got to embrace something close to the middle to win. And they just look at him and say,
Well, it's that weird reality of they're campaigning to win the nomination right now. And those that are going to vote in the primaries and the caucuses, those are always the highly motivated members of your party, which typically are the extremes of both parties. And so I'll tell you what I thought was fascinating. I saw there was a guy in California that is a statistician, and he did this will turn it into journalism / we can get it to sports. He did a based on Twitter alone and the reaction of Twitter alone, he did essentially like a survey of where politicians, or I'm sorry, it was like where journalists fall based upon politicians' political leanings. And the most fascinating to me thing, the most obvious thing is the journalism in general. The model for a journalist is somewhere left of Bernie Sanders and right of AOC.
wow.
But the thing that was really striking to me,
Left of Sanders?
Yeah, I saw
Correct.
this too. Like on a 1 to 10, it was like 1.8 or 2.2 or something like that.
which
Wow.
no matter what the average journalist tells you, like that is true in my experience. I should preface by saying in my experience.
Oh, there are national people with national talent who have not advanced as far as they should have advanced in their careers because of their
But what I thought was really interesting about
centrist views.
that graph was Barack Obama was right of the medium Senate Democrat. Not super right, but he was right of it in terms of positioning.
On a 1 to 10, he's probably a 4.
How much different was he? Because I think Clinton's left center. Like how much real different was he? Like I think times change and whatnot, so some like policies change, but in general, like the way that he governed, how much further to the left was he than Clinton?
Not a lot. He understood in much the same way that Clinton did, and much the same way that Bush did. If you go back and look at three people that over the course of their careers were the president for 24 years, if you sprint one way or the other, you alienate so much. If you're actually trying to get things done, you do have to operate somewhere in that 4 to 6 range. You can't get 3 or lower or 7 or higher and get a lot done.
Well, I mean,
But
in general,
I think if you looked at it today, where American politics are today, I think Bill Clinton would have a very difficult time getting elected. I think Barack Obama would have a very difficult time getting elected, and I think George W. Bush would have no chance at a nomination. You can't run as a practical, common sense person who leans right or leans left. That you can't win the nomination.
I think I agree with you on Clinton. There's a lot of reasons Clinton would have trouble getting elected today. I agree with you on Bush and securing a nomination. I still think Obama has. There are just certain, like throughout the course of history we've seen in politics, sometimes there's just the rock star type celebrity, and I still think Obama fits into that category.
He probably does. I just wonder if Senator Barack Obama today, running as in the middle, could he get a nomination? I just don't know.
Last thing on this, I think I agree with you, but voters showed in 2016 that polls are wrong, that a lot of national pundits are wrong in different things. Why couldn't the centrists get elected? They actually get the votes. They just don't necessarily get the pub and some of the
They
stuff.
can get elected. They can't win their party's nomination.
That's what I'm talking about, though. You still don't think the average party person is somewhat to the right?
I don't know.
They're choosing between negative evil or the best evil right now more than actually a candidate they would get behind?
Well, I'm just watching the Democrats. I don't know what the Republicans will do. I guess we'll find out in 4 years. You watch the Democrats right now, and they're not operating by what seems to make common sense.
Yeah.
They're running. They're running a guy in Sanders. I don't want to get overly political here, but you know that Trump's going to run, no matter who it is. Trump's going to run a vicious, personal, nasty campaign because he's proven. This isn't a criticism either. He's proven that he does not have a standard. There is not a line in the sand that he won't cross. He'll cross any line. And so you know he's going to attack Bernie Sanders on his health. The man's had heart attacks. And he's going to call him a socialist. And then he's going to say, hey, here's a socialist who owns 3 homes and only flies first class and blah, blah, blah. They're going to kill him.
Whoa. That's insulting to people that fly first class. He only flies private.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. When in the past, when he has flown commercial, because you see all these pictures of him, he only flies first class, and that's fine. I mean, if you have millions and millions and millions of dollars, why the hell not? I mean, you're not going to sit back in a middle seat for God's sake. But my point is he runs as this socialist who wants to do all these intricate tax things, and he wants to talk about punishing the rich. He's very rich. He hasn't. Well, Bernie Sanders can't win a national election, and yet they're going to push him through.
Well, to me, it's even more so. Like, I think what we're seeing with the Democrats is the same thing that we saw in 2016 with the Republicans, in that the party strength, the party no longer has the ability to sit there and say, this is our guy, or this is our gal, or here are the 2 or 3. It is now, that's why we keep seeing these wide open fields, because the party no longer can kind of say, like, okay, this is what we're doing. It's this person's turn, and we're just going to, this is what the party stance is. And so because of that, you get these wide open fields, and with the fields being so wide open, it takes forever to narrow it down, and you wind up with just uninspiring characters.
Yeah. Switching up a little bit, Jeffrey, what's your first take on this new part of the collective bargaining agreement with the NFL? Adam Schefter yesterday reporting that should this go into effect as early as next season, there will be 7 playoff teams from each conference, not 6. They're adding a game to the regular season, also taking a game away from the preseason, and you would have 3 games in each conference on Wild Card Weekend.
So the one interesting aspect is the 17th game, because the leaders of the players union, according to reports now, believe that they can get that done, but there are reports out there that there are other high-ranking members of the players union that is like a non-starter. So I think that's what's going to be fascinating. I think, based on conversations that I've had, based on things that I've read, I don't think this is a leverage tool by the owners to try and get some type of deal in the CBA. I think this is entirely based upon the television networks. So the NFL's main TV packages, the Fox TV package that has the NFC and the CBS TV package that has the AFC, those expire in 2022. Okay. ESPN's Monday night package expires in 2021. I think most people that understand a negotiation, even though you have a deal in place, if you've got one that's expiring, you've begun the negotiation process. So the NFL has put out the price that they want for the AFC and NFC packages, and it is extremely high. And the television networks, I don't really think this is a negotiation thing, because I think the TV networks understand at the end of the day, they know the score. They need the NFL. Like you look at the biggest TV, the biggest TV ratings of the year. It's, of the 50, something like 48 are NFL games. So they know the score. With that being said, you do have to be able to pay. And so essentially what they have told the NFL is, listen, if we're going to meet this price that you want, we can't do it. Like financially, it doesn't make sense. We would be operating in the red. And the NFL has basically said, okay, well, is there a way that this could make sense for you because this is the price? So essentially, well, the NFL, the networks are like, well, yeah, if you give us 2 more weeks of games, and that was where the 18-game schedule became a thing. And the 18-game schedule was never really going to get passed from the players' union side. And so then they start kind of working on the compromise. And the one thing that everyone could agree on was, okay, we add the 7th playoff team. That gives whoever gets the package, the AFC and NFC package, that gives them an extra playoff game that they can sell. Okay, that works. So now the hang up is, do they get that extra week of games for the 17th game? And I guess if you're making me predict today, I'll say that it gets done, but I'm not confident on that because I think the player's asking price for a 17th game is going to be 50% of the revenue, so a 50-50 split. And right now, the owners, I believe, are splitting 47-53.
Yeah, it's 47-53 right now, and the owners are willing to go to 48.5. And the players want 50, and the owners are like,
Are they adding a bye week as well, or no, an extra bye week, or no?
I don't think so.
Neil, correct me if I'm wrong. I did not see any report about an additional bye game.
Yeah.
All I saw was they cut the preseason down to 3 games, which that's fine by me. Honestly, you can get the preseason down to 2 games. I'm good.
Well, I kind of think that's where this is headed. I think the players are going to say, okay, well, if we don't get 50, we want the preseason cut down to just 2 games, because the veteran players are terrified of the preseason because they get hurt in the preseason and they don't get paid.
Correct. And then I guess there are some people, though, that in the union, I don't know how it would work out, but there's got to be some people in the union that want the preseason because that's how they think they make teams.
Sure. Well, they've done this forever. You know, as the calendar becomes more and more year round, they're saying basically we don't need it. And some in the union say, well, but that's, yeah, like you said, that's where guys make that's where guys make teams. I don't know. It's going to be decided by the. I think in the end they're headed towards 48.5, 49%, a 17th game, an extra playoff team, which provides now just one team gets a bye, and you have essentially 3 wild card games in both leagues, AFC, NFC. Networks make money.
Here's what was fascinating, though. The last 2 Super Bowl champions, the Patriots and the Chiefs, they were both the 2 seed. They would have had to have played wild card weekend.
Yeah.
I like the 2 buys. I do have a little bit of a problem with the 1 buy. But I mean,
you know what? I was starting to think about that.
Steelers would have been your extra playoff teams last year.
Correct. One of those teams could have actually probably done something, and it wasn't the Steelers.
The networks make real money off playoff games. I mean, they
make, for sure.
They make real money off playoff games. The network is the TV people are all in on this because they say, so let me get this straight. We're going to lose 2 preseason games that only the diehards watch.
Well, no. Let me go one further. The preseason games are sold by the teams locally,
right?
So
the networks have a net gain of 2,
right? So they're getting a free week. They're getting a free week of NFL games that they didn't get the money for. They're getting the free week if they get the extra week, and then, as you point out, then they get to sell an extra playoff game, which is where they start doing backstrokes in cash.
And as the league wants to put more and more games in London, and they want to put a game in Mexico City, and they want to put a game here and a game there, you now can move one of those games and still offer 8 regular season home games to ownership. You're not taking a home game away from a team.
Now, that might just be another opportunity for Khan to maybe get a 3rd London game.
Oh, I think they want to put multiple games in London.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like right now, I think the Jags have 2 They have 2 London games this year. I want to say they're both home games. Like, I think there's only 6 games in Jacksonville right now.
It's where I don't understand why it's a common sense thing. Why the league can't look at Jacksonville and say this doesn't work. Why they continue to try to force that? Say it doesn't work. Move them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is okay, there's logistically, name another city that's going to, because the first thing's going to be who's giving them a new stadium. And also, I'm not up to date on Jags legalism. Just knowing kind of how these kind of contracts work, I would bet when Jacksonville renovate, you remember they did like another big renovation, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I bet when they did that renovation that there was some type of language about extending how long, like this, because this is what the Grizzlies have done. Like the Grizzlies, when they got more money from the city, they had to sign an extension on how long they have to be there before they could even relocate. And I would think the Jaguars had a similar deal when they got their stadium redone for the second time.
Yeah, what is the next city that makes sense for the NFL domestically?
Oh,
there's nothing necessarily just hanging out there off the top of my mind.
I have an opinion. It'll never happen, but it's more of a common sense thing. I'd put an NFL team in Birmingham. Given the TV ratings that the NFL gets there all the time.
I just really, really wonder. I don't know, like I think part of Jacksonville's problem is it's college football territory, man.
It is.
Like Nashville is similar to Birmingham in that it is the unquestioned best city in the state, the richest city in the state. They're able to make things happen in that city, and the Titans have struggled. I mean, they had a good attendance year this year because they were good, but you know what I mean? Like I struggle to think that if it's not a slam dunk in Nashville, I feel like it would be even more difficult in Birmingham, where Birmingham is even more of a diehard college town.
It's not a slam.
College.
I mean, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just kind of playing along. I agree. It's not a slam dunk in a lot of places. It's not a slam dunk in Los Angeles.
Well, it's not. I mean, the Chargers have been a disaster. Like that has been. I just hate to see bad things happen to good people. Dean Spanos and their family. Just it's tragic that they're losing money when they thought they were going to become even richer off that.
I think the Raiders are going to do really well in Las Vegas. I think that's a market that will handle it really well.
Agreed.
I'll be surprised if it doesn't work there. People talk about Portland. I don't think it's going to work well in Portland.
I think it could work in Portland because Portland, the Pacific Northwest, like for instance, look at these XFL numbers that we're seeing. The team that does the best, even from a local TV market, is Seattle. And Portland has that same, like Portland is they jump up and down and tell you how great of sports fans they are. But I still think I'm going to bet the Seahawks don't want them in Portland.
No, the Seahawks would not want them. In much the same way that the Falcons and the Titans would scream bloody murder about a team in Birmingham.
Yes, and I would imagine the Panthers wouldn't be thrilled either.
No, they wouldn't be excited. I'm trying to think what works. I mean,
really, there's just not. Unless you're trying to throw another team in Texas.
San Antonio.
I mean, remember in San Antonio had the chance, like their answer was to try to redo the Alamo Dome. Like that's I mean, I guess right now the biggest city, right, is not Portland. The biggest city without a team would be Salt Lake City, correct?
Somebody actually just put that in the live stream. Salt Lake is kind of intriguing in an odd way.
Yeah. Is it an attractive destination for NFL players?
Yeah.
Would it be able to sign free agents?
If they pay.
Yeah, NFL is not as beholden on that as NBA is. They'll go wherever
because
if it's competitive.
it's a hard salary cap too, and there's only so few players in the NBA or so few players in the NFL that are going to get like huge endorsement money.
Yeah.
Like it's just not. I don't know. Like I agree with you. I don't think it's a destination, but Green Bay's not a free agent destination, and that hasn't stopped them from being competitive.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, St. Louis, you could put a team back in St. Louis, but it hasn't worked.
There's no sign that works.
Well, and the other thing, so I mean, that was supposedly that was one of the offers was to move the Chargers to St. Louis when it was obvious that it wasn't working. But, you know, St. Louis is still going to have to build that Riverfront Stadium, and that's another $1 billion. I love St. Louis.
Out there. I don't know. I just, I think
San Diego's same thing. San Diego's not going to build the freaking stadium.
I think what the league wants to do very clearly is to put a franchise in Mexico City or London.
I think that's obvious.
They are, and I think they will force that if it comes to it. They are just bound and determined to do it. I'll be fascinated to see how an NFL franchise actually did in London as the London whatevers.
Well, I'm just more curious how it logistically works, because basically at that point you'd have to do a block schedule where, you know, they're going to play four straight home games, then they're going to go and regionally play 4 straight road games. Like basically what you do is like, I think they'd have to change the way they do the schedule. They would play 4 straight home games, then they go and would play, you know, whatever the crossover division is, the AFC North. And so then you kind of base and camp somewhere in America for a month. And then you play those 4 teams, but
and then you like your last 4 games of the regular season are all on the road.
Yeah, I don't think it works, and I think the Players Association will fight it
because at some point, if you block, it's not regional anymore. Because if you're the 2 seed in whatever division,
and
you're putting those people in.
A money issue that does matter. You in the NFL, you are taxed based on where the game was played. So where you earned your money that day, that means you're going to have 8 games played in England, taxed at the English tax rate.
Yeah,
and that is where money comes into play. It's the same issue that Toronto's had in baseball.
You would think it would be the NFL's version of Brexit. There's going to be some guys that get pissed off.
Oh yeah, they just go no.
No, they're going to say, and that's what they're going to say is not going to do it.
And I just wonder, like, I know the London games do well, but they're kind of a novelty over there. You know what I mean? Like, what happens when you have 10 straight years because you can't field a good team? What happens when you have 10 straight years of losing? Does London give a crap?
It's never going to be as big as the English Premier League is there. It's just not.
No.
That's their sport, and they support it. And you've got all those teams right there in London with Man City and Man U and Tottenham and Chelsea. And, I mean, just on and on and on. You're those people.
Hey, the Premier League's still the 3rd richest league in the world.
Yeah, well, they get packed houses. I mean, you have to buy tickets well in advance and that kind of thing. I just don't think people are going to spend their expendable income, whatever that word is, on the NFL and give up
disposable.
Yeah, disposable. They're not going to give that up for NFL when they've got to spend it to keep their EPL seat.
So last couple of minutes, Jeffrey, how many teams can actually win the NCAA basketball tournament? Who do you like at all? Because there's nobody that's very good.
All right, Neil, help me out here. I think we agree Baylor is probably the best, most consistent team, but I think in the back of our minds we're really like, can Scott Drew win a national championship? Is that a fair statement?
That's fair. They're good enough to win a title.
They're elite defensively. Now, if you want to go on historical trends suggest you basically have to be a top 15 adjusted efficient offense, according to Ken Pom, and a top 15 adjusted efficient defense. So the teams that apply there are Kansas, San Diego State, Duke, and guys, I think we need to pray for Coach K. I don't know if you saw last night, but
22 lost to NC State.
Listen, I'm just worried about his health. I'm worried about his health. I am celebrating though. I don't know if you got to see. He did have the opportunity in front of the cameras to congratulate a young man on how well he played. And, he's just always coaching. Even if it's not his kid, he's always coaching. What just an outstanding thrill.
An American hero.
Yeah, just what a thrill for that young man. And those are the 4 teams that would qualify. Now, the reason why this year I think is weird is because it's such a crowded field. You are going to see some weird things, I think, in the tournament. So I don't know if necessarily if you're going to have to fit the profile to be the national champion. But based on those numbers, Baylor's got the 23rd offense. So that you know what I mean? Like Gonzaga is the number 1 offense, but the number 36 defense. And that's always kind of been their Achilles heel. Team like Dayton's 2nd offensively, but 52nd defensively. West Virginia's number 1 offensively, but 68th. I'm sorry, number 1 defensively, but number 68th offensively. So you start getting into this weird territory. So
where's Louisville?
If you made me
that?
Louisville is 12th on adjusted offense and 35th on adjusted defense.
I'll tell you this about Louisville, Laura, and we dropped Carson off at confirmation class last night, and we're like, we're here on the square. There's really no reason to go home, and so we went and had a couple of beers, and because we're responsible parents, and we were watching. Well, I was watching.
God, you took your kid to church while y'all went and had beer.
Yeah.
God, that's good parenting.
I felt love at the time. It felt like.
By the way, thank you for your mentorship.
Yeah.
I mean, like as I get into this new chapter of my life, I've started to worry about, what type of father will I be. Yeah. If you tell me I can drop my kid off at church and I can go drink beer, I think I'm going to be okay.
Carson got back in the truck and goes, "How was your beer?" I said, "It was good, thanks." As I was listening to a Bachelor podcast. I'm such a dad. Anyway, Louisville's floor at the Yum Center. Forget all the stuff about Louisville and whether you love them or hate them or whatever. Their floor with the dunking massive Cardinal is fantastic.
Yeah, it really, really does bring the noise. I mean, it's intimidating.
It legitimately is awesome. I mean, seriously, every school around the country should look at that and go, okay, we've got to step up our game.
It's my biggest argument when the Grizzlies do the throwback court and you see the old school, they have that big, ferocious grizzly bear, and it basically goes from 3-point line to 3-point line. I'm like, that's a logo.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do it, do it. That dunking Cardinal it's
great.
It's all over the floor. You can't miss it on television. And it's awesome. I mean, because I went for, that was a game, it was Louisville and Syracuse, a game that I normally would never watch because I hate both teams. I went from not wanting to watch it to being kind of glued in, like, oh yeah, how about that? Just because of the floor.
Don't you think Chris Mack makes Louisville a little more likable now?
He does. I like him. He does make them more lovable down the road. They've got to distance themselves more and more from the scum that they were.
Slick Rick.
Yeah. And Boeheim, man. I mean, to me, Boeheim is Coach K light. And it's just
very, very self-righteous, preachy, do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just
I will say this. You do got to respect a man that the NCAA basically told Syracuse to fire, and he just said, "I'm not leaving."
And won.
Yeah.
Who you got this afternoon, Jeff?
Let's see. This afternoon on the program, we will have Jonathan Sharks. We're going to, of course, discuss the NBA with him. Also, Jason Smith, who does the Jason and John show. We'll get into tell you what, just a heroic win for the Tigers last night over 212th ranked, according to Ken Palm, ECU. Big home win.
Thanks, Bob. Have a glorious day.
All right, guys.
All right. That was Jeffrey Wright there with you. We'll continue the show in 1 second. First, tell you about G&M Pharmacy and Tyson Drugs. G&M right there on South Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. 662-236-2222 is the phone number. $0 copay on the flu vaccine available. You don't have to wait in line or anything. They'll get you out as quickly and painlessly as possible. They also deliver locally to your home or workplace in the Oxford area. They offer MedSync to fill your prescriptions the same day every single month, and they have Right Way Meds to individually package the medication when you need it. So many different options there with G&M. Again, you can give them a call at 662-236-2222.
Our friends at Blue Delta Jeans are excited to announce that they have begun accepting pre-orders for the return of Duck Canvas. Longtime Blue Delta Jeans clients will remember this durable, long-lasting fabric. It's back in stock by popular demand in canyon brown, green, gray, and navy at 10.5 ounces. This Georgia milled fabric will provide you with the ultimate American-made pant that is nearly unbreakable. For more information or to place your orders today, go to BlueDeltaJeans.com or reach out to Blue Delta Jeans on social media at Blue Delta Jeans. We are also brought to you by Dead Soxy. If you're looking to give your employees or clients something beyond the typical koozie, you need awesome marketing swag for your client or potential customer, Dead Soxy has you covered with custom socks. What better way to personalize your company swag than to create a product people will use time and time again? Visit deadsoxy.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, click on the custom socks button, and let them hold your hand through the entire process. Don't worry about not having design skills. Just share your vision with the design team, and they will get to work putting your vision into action. Dead Soxy will create a complimentary digital mock-up of your design before any orders are placed. It's time to get customized. Go custom with your friends at Dead Soxy. Also brought to you by Southern Craft Stove and Tap. They've got your pregame and pre-concert needs covered, so whether you're headed to Oxford for basketball or baseball, or you're headed to Tupelo for one of the many events at Bancorp South Arena, make sure you get your event started off right with a visit to Southern Craft, conveniently located off Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue in Oxford, and at 205 East Troy Street in Tupelo. Southern Craft has all your Southern favorites ready to serve your hunger needs. Drop in and enjoy a curated cocktail or one of their many craft beers on tap. And don't forget about their catering. From private events to catering in for your staff at work, Southern Craft has your catering needs covered with a meal everyone is sure to love. So make your day crafty at Southern Craft Stove and Tap.
Podcast is brought to you by Visit Oxford. Visit OxfordMS.com is the website. Go to the events page, see what's going on locally in town. You can also stop by their location there on Jackson Avenue in Oxford. They have welcome bags, or they just tell you about some options maybe you do not know about, including food tours. You got the film festival coming soon, and much more. So again, check out the website, bookmark it, see what's going on every single day. Let's visit OxfordMS.com. So let's see, what do we have? I mentioned in the opening, Ole Miss beat Alcorn 9-8 in a thrilling game that lasted 10 innings last night. I heard about this last night. I mean, look. It was a win.
Oh, here we go.
No. It was a win. Much better than a loss. Winning is better than, losing, as Nuke and Crash would say.
Yep.
Because Alcorn State last year was 295th in their RPI. That's not positive. There are 299 teams, by the way. Just heads up on that. Ole Miss did not play well. Alcorn played really well. They played really above their head, but, I mean, come on.
Yeah, sure.
Ole Miss, though, Alcorn committed 4 errors, walked 10, and hit a dude, and got that thing into the 10th inning. If I tells you how Ole Miss played last night.
10 errors.
No, 4 errors.
4 errors.
10, and hit
10
a dude.
and hit a guy.
So in a fuzzy math way, 15 extra somethings, and that thing got into the 10th inning.
Okay, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here because it's not worth it, and it's February and.
You won the game. Move on. You can laugh about it now.
The committee, at the end of the day, will never think about it.
That was 9-8. Can you believe that?
They'll just CW.
Yeah, whatever.
The concern has to be the starting pitcher.
Yeah, Greer Holston is the story of the day if you want to pick something. I thought that, it's a message board topic, so I haven't mentioned it here. I thought Mike got a little carried away. He did a lefty-righty switch in the 3rd inning last night, taking Hayden Leatherwood out of the game. And, whatever.
He does that all the time.
Whatever. But Alcorn State was never going to throw some dude for 6 innings last night. It was going to be this night of changes and all sorts of stuff. They went to their Friday night guy in, the 6th. And if you're Alcorn State, you have no chance in hell of an at-large bid. So, yeah, do that. Go try to get a win against an SEC program and give a memory. Because
of course.
Your regular season means nothing.
No.
You play a conference tournament later to try to make the NCAA tournament. That's it.
No, you did the right thing. We have a chance here. Let's see if we can do it.
Yeah.
Because if we do, it's something we'll talk about for 20 years.
Yeah, let's get a memory. That's all we're doing.
Sure.
And he did all right, and it was what it was. look, they had bases loaded there in the ninth when they were looking around going, hey, this thing's about to get a little interesting.
It's cold.
Oh, yeah.
Damp.
Yeah, miserable.
Midweek. People say, I read on the message board, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm really not. I'm not. People go, they didn't show the same grit and swag and stuff. Guys, you go from playing Louisville, what was it, 9,000 a game?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
To playing Alcorn in front of about 900, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
it's cold.
The club areas had people in them. There were not a ton of. Actually, early on it was fine when it was still kind of okay. But as it got later in the night, there were some exits going on.
You're not going to have the same intensity.
A young team on the first Wednesday against Alcorn State. I mean, I was talking to a parent last night who had no idea where Alcorn State, what state they were located in.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
right.
Like you're who? Like what's up?
And then the other one that's out there, and I'm not making fun. I laugh because sample sizes and stuff. I'm not ready to give up on Ely yet. Like it's February the 20th.
It's gonna be a minute.
Yeah, hang in there a minute.
He did see a ton of pitches last night. I think he struck out or walked on full counts in 4 of his 5 at-bats last night. And his other at-bat, he got hit.
I watched one of his at-bats because it was on at the bar, and they had one of the TVs on Louisville and one of the TVs on the baseball game. And
Yeah.
I looked over, and Ely was up, and he struck out on.
Yeah, he started that at bat with a 3-0 count and then struck out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His
swing reverted last night. I think he was pressing a little bit. I did not see the same mechanics from him last night as I had at times in the off season.
It's going to be an adjustment.
Well, and some of it too is the kid's throwing slower, so he does revert back to that high school stuff because all of a sudden this kid's throwing 78 or 81, and they're throwing this big roundhouse breaking ball in there at 62. It's just like, gee, I mean, because like I get it's an oversimplification, guys, but there's some of that's just it's going to be different for these kids. They're not used to seeing that. It's going to take a second. Everybody goes, hey, they're throwing it slower, hit it. Well,
but that's
you can
not
hit
what
it, but you're going to pop it up, or they hit tons of long fly balls last night that were just caught. I mean,
it's not even what he sees in practice.
Yeah.
In practice, he sees hard stuff.
Yeah.
In intra-squads, he sees hard stuff. When
Yeah.
you play Louisville, you see hard stuff. And now all of a sudden, you see the guy that looks like the number 2 pitcher on your high school team out there.
Yeah.
And it's cold, and it's wet, and you're pressing a little because you fall way behind, and I don't know.
Mike's not going to give up on Greer. Obviously, he's going to get more opportunities. Again, it's February the 20th.
Yeah.
Fastball was velocity-wise good last night. It was 92, 93 for much of his outing, but didn't record an out. All 5 batters reached 3 hits, 2 walks, I think. It was flat. It got up in the zone, and it was flat, and Alcorn State does have 4 or 5 guys at the top of the order that can hit, and they hit it. That's what happened. So,
Well, they played very aggressively.
Yeah.
As they should have. Why not? You got nothing to lose.
They had a kid on the team that's 5'4", and he was 4 for 5 last night with a homer.
Good for him.
Yeah, he had a
sure.
heck of a night.
Yeah.
There at the end of the game, like he was probably scary for Mike when he came up because the kid was hitting everything. I mean,
Yeah.
just,
Those teams, if they have the right approach in a game like that, it's fun. If you get beat, you get beat. You're supposed to get beat.
Yeah.
Get your chicken sandwich, get back on the bus, and go home.
They had to use Miller, Broadway, and Forsyth last night, but none of the pitch counts got up. It was fine. I probably wanted to get them an inning anyway just because of the one midweek going into the weekend. But, yeah, I don't know. Ole Miss, Alcorn last night, 9-8.
I would have said the same thing if they'd lost.
Well,
Here's
you
the
got
thing.
some resume issues
You
had
do.
they lost. That was the problem. There would have been a big flashing light.
But
going
here's
on.
what you know. Given Ole Miss's schedule, okay, the way that their SEC schedule shakes
The
out,
RPI is going to be all right.
if they get to 17 wins on that schedule, they're hosting.
Probably they actually would run into some national seed conversation at
If
that
they
point.
get to 16 wins in that schedule,
hosting.
they're probably hosting.
Yeah.
If they get to 15 wins in that schedule, they're
Comfortably
on the
at 2.
bubble and probably not. And anything less than that, they're in the tournament somewhere, depending on how many wins. My point is that their whole deal is going to be so predominantly shaped on 30 games. It just is.
Don't lose fewer than 19 or don't win fewer than 19 non-conference games and then do okay in the league.
I mean, you can't have 5 Alcorn State losses. That'll kill you. But my point is, given the way the way that their RPI is going to be based on who they play, it's all going to be about what they do in the league.
LSU got bit by Nichols last night. Nichols winning 4-2. Actually, LSU went on the road for that one. I'm just seeing right now. That was the only loss for the league in non-con action that I see. A&M won 30-2 last night. Florida, it took 10 innings to beat Jacksonville, and whatever. Vanderbilt played 2 midweek games. Did not give up a run, I don't think, in either one of them. See Al Leiter's kid on
Mark
Tuesday
Leiter.
night.
Is that his name, Mark?
That's Al's brother.
Okay.
Jack is his
Jack
kid's name.
Leiter, yeah.
Yeah.
Struck out 12 in 5 innings.
Yeah. It's the damnedest thing. Yeah, they threw some kid last night. They gave up 1 hit and 6 or something. That whatever.
Bo is trolling me on the live stream here. Thank you for the contribution. We really appreciate it. We'll see if I've heard about a cheating scandal with the Houston Astros.
Okay, that was the proper way to do that.
That was
funny.
the proper way to get that done.
That is good. That 5'4" kid was like leaning over. He was. He looked like that old timey photo with the little short major league player that they put in just to walk every time. I mean, he was. There was not much target there at one point. But anyway, I don't know.
You got any thoughts on the Astros thing? I'm the one that gets killed.
Vegas did set the under on 83.5 for how many batters would get plunked this season for Houston. So 1 every other game ish.
That's going to be just based.
I don't know what the average is for a team getting plunked in a season. What's the baseline number typically?
I don't know. The amount of anger that is out there at the commissioner right now is really interesting.
You think he's going to pull it?
Yeah, I do.
And I'm not disagreeing, but when you pull it now, aren't you just showing that you're weak and doing it to pressure?
He's already shown that. Yeah, he's already shown that.
That's what it feels like.
The story's not dying in any way. I know I'm not supposed to talk about it, so I'm trying hard not to, even though it's the biggest story in sports. That and
okay, I looked this up. The Astros last season were hit 66 times. So it's saying that increases by 18 next season.
Significant.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I would tend under, I think.
I need to know the rest of the story before I make a prediction there.
The rank out of the 15 AL teams, 7. So halfway, middle, baseline gives you a good indicator there.
Today I would go over.
Would you really?
Yeah. There's so much anger. When you look at who the players are that are saying stuff, it's not your typical kind of hotheads. It's pretty normal. Mike Trout doesn't typically say stuff, you know. He's usually pretty level-headed. Chris Bryant's level-headed, very involved in the union. Those kinds of people. Nick Markakis of the Braves, considered one of the nicest people in all of professional sports.
Quite hot.
Talks about them deserving a beating. Just look at the verbiage that is used.
I think it was Giancarlo Stanton yesterday that said if he knew it was coming, he'd hit 80 home runs that season.
Well, like Mike Trout said.
Yeah.
Not trying to, he's a pretty humble guy, best player in the game, maybe the best player to ever play the game statistically. And he says, think of how much fun I'd have if I knew what was coming. One of the things that got said that I thought was interesting, I think it was John Lester who said it. One of the advantages from a safety standpoint at 60 feet 6 inches that you have is the hitter doesn't know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's dangerous for the pitcher if the hitter knows what's coming.
Yeah.
Basically, hey, why do you think before, in BP, when the hitter knows what's coming, we put up an L screen?
You can stop me if any of this strikes your fancy. If you have any comments. In basketball last night in the SEC, Georgia 65, Auburn 55 in Athens. The Tigers really struggling without a Okoro right now. Just a different deal.
Well, and some of the law of averages, I think, coming back to bite them a little bit.
Yeah, they were down 6 at the break, and then got outscored by 4 in the second half, losing by 10 to a Georgia team that's now 3-10 in the SEC. Auburn 9-4 in the SEC.
Did not shoot it well.
Gives
at all.
Kentucky a 2-game lead in the conference now for the overall standings.
Yeah.
Texas A&M goes into Tuscaloosa and wins last night, 74-68, the Aggies over the Crimson Tide.
I tell you what, Buzz Williams is really, really good. That is a killer loss for Alabama. It gives Ole Miss a chance to absolutely take a dagger and stick it square into
because they're
Alabama's
6-7 now in the league. A&M has found a way to 7-6 with that group.
He's coach of the year.
Good grief.
He won't win it, but he's coach of the year. And then
it's him or Frank Martin, which I'm getting to in a second. He loses in Starkville last night, but in a very competitive game, 79-76. And they are still 8-5 in the SEC.
What is State now? Are they 8-5 as well?
They're 8-5 as well. Yeah,
it's a big win for them.
When they had to have.
They had 2 wins, I guess. They beat Arkansas, and then they
just late game buzzers.
Yeah, getting them both, and they've kind of getting some traction on the bubble, if you will.
Yeah, it feels like they're in okay shape. In the league, Kentucky's 11-2 now. Auburn, LSU 9-4, Florida 9-4, State 8-5, Carolina 8-5, Texas A&M 7-6, Tennessee 7-6, Bama 6-7, Missouri 5-8, and then your Wednesday night teams as of this moment: Arkansas at 4-9, Ole Miss at 4-9, Georgia at 3-10 now, and then Vanderbilt at 1-12.
So if the season ended today, and it doesn't, Ole Miss would play Georgia on the first night because Arkansas has the tiebreaker.
That is correct. They would play Vanderbilt as of right now. Those teams 1 game back of Missouri, which Ole Miss does get in Oxford later in the season.
Yeah. Ole Miss still gets Vanderbilt. Ole Miss can get out of it. They've got to beat Alabama, Vanderbilt,
and Missouri.
That would give them
Frankly,
7
that would get
wins.
them out.
7-11 probably gets them out of the first night.
Yeah.
Arkansas is going to stay there. I think Georgia's going to stay there.
Vanderbilt's definitely there. I think it's Ole Miss, Missouri, and then if it spiraled on them, Bama needs to be careful. I don't know what the remaining schedule is without looking, but they're so schizophrenic right now that they could get into a little bit of a deal. I actually want to pull that up.
Could be a short stay in Nashville.
Bama's fine. They still have, from a schedule standpoint, pretty good shape. They're at Ole Miss, at Mississippi State. Now you lose all those in a row, and it gets a little funny.
Yeah.
Actually, I take that back. It's kind of weird. Never mind. At Ole Miss, at State, South Carolina at home, Vanderbilt at home, at Missouri. They might be in a play-in game on that last night.
They could only win one more.
Yeah.
They'll have a hard time in Starkville.
Now that would get them to 7 as well.
And then, if Ole Miss beat them, they'd win that tiebreak.
Correct.
Talk about spending time on something that doesn't matter.
Hey, Wednesday night tiebreaker. Who's in? Who's playing to get to whomever the next day?
Wednesday night games where every media member there is going to lose. It's in conference tournaments and stuff, or when you find out who the homers are. Because the people that are cheering for their teams at conference tournaments, those people are by God locked in. Or Kentucky fans.
You got to win the first one to win all of them.
Yeah.
You do. You got to win the first one to win all of them. NBA takes 6 days off at their break.
Yeah, that was bargained in. Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of Vanderbilt, the little engine that could, it's becoming funny too because I'm getting blown up more and more on Twitter by Vanderbilt people talking about there's no help and they're just wonderful at what they do. Well, Corbin did it because he talked to The Athletic and said that the average Vanderbilt baseball player pays $19,000 a year in tuition. But there's a little fuzzy math in that it screws up those numbers a little bit. Anyway.
Why can't he just say, yeah, we benefit
Nobody
from some
does that,
stuff.
though. Everybody in every sport has to go, no. Okay.
I mean, I don't begrudge him for taking advantage of a system. No. Never. He's not breaking any rules.
What I was getting at, Vanderbilt starters this season through 5 games, when they get their offense figured out, and they will at some point, and it doesn't have to be great, you'll see where they are. Their starters, 0.74 ERA, 24 innings, 11 hits, 2 earned runs, 34 strikeouts at this point. They're 5 starters.
Yeah. Just built it from the ground up.
I mean, he did do that. They sucked before him.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
He's created quite frankly, a place where Major League Baseball would do well is in Nashville.
Oh, yeah, Wright State beat Louisville last night, too. Whatever.
Yeah.
Arkansas and State fans both really enjoying that on Twitter last night. I saw trying to claim Louisville is completely overrated, and it was.
Lord help.
Yeah, there is a college baseball Twitter is very high strung for it to be February 20th right now. I don't really understand what's going on.
I don't
mean,
either.
I'm telling you, it is. State and Arkansas are incredibly high strung right now.
Why?
Now State's got a little reason to be. JT Ginn shut down yesterday.
Well, yeah, that's a problem.
It was shoulder last year. Some rumors were going around about elbow right now. I'm hoping what I'm hearing is not true, but it sounds very
hate
serious.
It for the kid, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He'd have been far better off going pro and letting a major league franchise deal with this.
Yeah, the Dodgers did not. They
saw
lowball is not
something.
necessarily the right word, but they paid him just enough to keep the draft pick the next season.
They saw this coming medically.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Well, and I think they knew the whole time. To his credit, I think he got a little annoyed because he told them, "I will not take that amount of money. Do not draft me." And they did it anyway, and then offered him that much money, and he's going, I told you. But in their mind, you're either going to take it or we'll just take the pick next year. We don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Now, that creates a little bit of weird. I mean, it's kind of like the whole years of eligibility thing. It creates a really weird animosity between your prospect and your team off the top.
Yeah.
But it's business. It is what it is.
They don't care.
No, not at all. I did look up Jack Leiter because I was curious. He was the 15th player in the country last year, and he came to college. Now, obviously,
he's probably
finance situation a little different for him.
Yeah, I mean, his dad made an absolute ton of money.
Was around for a while.
He's probably not getting any scholarship stuff.
No, I'm sure he has
Maybe.
a walk-on that's free. And they do get that from time to time. I mean, they get that a pretty good bit because they go into the Northeast so hard that you do run into that more often.
Well, they have developed a reputation as a baseball program because of all of the alumni that they have now in the major leagues, that it's a great place to be year-round. And then, of course, it's a Vanderbilt degree.
He is looks like he's going to be a draft-eligible sophomore. He and Rocker have a good chance to go 1-2 next year.
Really?
As starters in the same draft. Yeah. Decent chance of that. I was just looking at it. Yeah, he's at the age of the 19 draft, he was already 19 in 1 month.
Oh.
So, yeah, he's definitely a draft-eligible sophomore.
After next season.
Yeah. Yeah, Arkansas Twitter got annoyed by sharing a SEC Co-Player of the Week thing, of all things. That's what created the initial problem over the weekend. It's the most underrated, weird rivalry in college sports.
Yeah,
Ole Miss and Arkansas.
I've learned that I'm far more laid back than I ever thought I was.
College baseball breeds really strange rivalries.
It's February, man. None of this is going to matter. I'm not belittling it at all. It's just, it's early. It's like getting worked up about college basketball the first week of November. It's not going to matter.
We'll go into our last segment in a minute.
And if anything, programs like that, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, the people that want college baseball, and I'm not picking on college baseball here, that want it to become a mainstream sport, right? They want it to become this big deal that where the networks show more of it, where it gets more attention. Those are markets where you're getting big crowds and people are excited about it. Those people kind of ought to be looking at that going, hey, that's good for our sport.
Mm-hmm.
Because nationally, it's still a sport that's trying to find a grasp.
Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting and understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and rates are incredibly good right now. So take advantage of that and talk to Jason, 662-234-2704 or JLOWE@communitymtg.com.
Podcast also sponsored by Nest & Wild. Sleep better with a Nest & Wild mattress. Nest & Wild is a Mississippi-based mattress company making a high-quality mattress delivered right to your door. They make buying a new mattress easy. Every Nest & Wild mattress is 1 foot thick, giving you comfort and support that will last. A lot of online brands sell an 8-inch or a 10-inch mattress, but not Nest & Wild. Every one from the Twin to the California King is 1 foot thick. It's also 100% American-made. And also, when you get a Nest & Wild mattress, you're fighting cancer in your sleep. Nest & Wild has partnered with former Major League pitcher Jason Mott and his Foundation Against Cancer. They donate a portion of every mattress sold back to Jason's charity. It's also a no-risk decision. Nest & Wild believes in their product so much they're offering a 99-night trial on every mattress. So try it out, sleep on it for 99 nights, and if you don't like it, you can return it. nestandwild.com. Order your mattress. Use the podcast code REBEL20, that's REBEL20, and get 20% off your purchase. Your mattress will arrive at your door in 3 to 5 days. This podcast also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust based in Madison, Mississippi. They've got clients in more than 20 states, advisors in 3 states. They also sponsor the Mind on My Money podcast, which dropped yesterday. We're having embed issues with rivals. I think we're still having them, right?
We are. I hope. Well, hopefully not. By the time they hear this, I'll check it again. Obviously,
Okay.
when we're done with this.
Hopefully we'll have that loaded up on the site, but it is on iTunes if you subscribe to Mind on My Money. That podcast is pretty good. It was not really about money yesterday. It's kind of about opioid addiction and some stuff like that. I think you'll enjoy it. Pintrust.com, PINN Trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. We're also brought to you by the Westin Jackson, home to Soul Spa, also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, creative craft cocktails, curated wine list, fantastic hotel there in downtown Jackson. It's a Marriott property, and if you're traveling through Jackson or heading to Jackson for a weekend, we highly recommend the Westin Jackson. Speaking of travel, if you are booking your summer travel plans, it'll be here before you know it. I highly recommend John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Whether it's a golf trip, a trip to the Caribbean, a trip to Europe, whatever the case may be, get in touch with John, give him some parameters, give him a budget, and trust me when I tell you he's going to give you options that you cannot find on your own. And you don't have to live anywhere near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. I didn't think about this. Carson came home from school yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a bad day at school. Carson very rarely has a bad day.
Okay.
And he had a bad day at school last Thursday. Little stress. Some things just kind of overwhelmed him. He had a rough day.
Okay.
And so Caroline and I were in the car with him, talking to him on the way up to Fayetteville on Thursday. And so the girls on Friday bought him a Happy. They bought him an Arkansas basketball dry fit T-shirt. Okay.
Yep.
And because Carson loves basketball. God, if Carson could be anything in the world, he would be a basketball player. Unfortunately for Carson,
he has your genes.
He is a product of my DNA, and that limits him severely.
Okay.
So, but he was proud of his shirt. He wore his shirt to school, and I guarantee you, if you were to ask Carson, he would have been like me. I had no idea there was a feud on Twitter until yesterday when someone asked on the mailbag. If you had asked Carson what's the deal with the baseball Twitter thing, he'd be like, huh? So some people picked on him about his shirt yesterday, and he came home kind of.
And it was an Ole Miss Arkansas baseball thing, we think?
I think so.
Really?
Probably so. He was like, I don't.
The only reason why I wonder if it's just more another SEC school thing, is that would require elementary or junior high kids to be on Twitter and see that in that environment,
Yeah,
which I
maybe
don't
so.
think that's
Maybe so.
necessarily
I don't
probably a
know.
thing.
Yeah, maybe or they heard about it at home. Who knows? He certainly didn't know about it. His response is funny. He goes, I'm not going to either school.
Let's see. Something. Oh, Greg Robinson. So, as everybody has been under a rock has seen.
Did Greg Robinson go to Auburn?
Yeah.
Oh,
Number
okay.
2 overall pick by the Rams a few years ago.
Okay.
Dylan was really excited about him when he was drafted, then he ended up sucking. Say allegedly, but it wasn't really allegedly. It was there. Greg Robinson had nearly 157 pounds of marijuana.
That sounds like, as someone who's never smoked marijuana.
Seems like a lot of marijuana.
That feels like a lot of marijuana.
Feels like a lot.
Right.
Free agent offensive tackle who played for the Browns and blah, 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 were arrested Monday night while traveling from Los Angeles to Louisiana with an unidentified passenger who's an Uber driver who ran errands for Robinson, the United States Attorney's Office for the Western District of Texas said. The DEA arrested Robinson and Bray on federal charges of drug conspiracy and possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute, because you'd have a hard time convincing someone that 157 pounds was for personal use. I don't think that's overly likely. They showed they were held without bond. TMZ first reported this. An immigration checkpoint is what got them, as the 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe, driven by the other guy in the car, arrived at the checkpoint. A drug-sniffing dog alerted agents that there might be something up. There were lots of vacuum-sealed bags of marijuana, including inside several duffel bags in the cargo area. They also found 23 mason jars in one bag, an electric can sealer machine weighing about 90 pounds, an electronic scale, and about $3,100 in cash in jeans belonging to the other guy.
Kind of feels like that was for more than recreational use.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to have a hard time saying, nah, just personal. Just, just loading up for myself. Because that'd be enough for the rest of your life, I would assume. I don't know exactly how quickly you would burn through that, but
Feels like it would take a while to smoke that much marijuana.
I mean, seriously. One of the top 10 dumbest athlete things ever, right?
Yeah, he's going to go to prison for up to 20 years. He threw away his NFL career over some dope. I guess he wanted to get into the dope selling business.
His career earnings. Hold on. His career earnings are $29 million. And now he's possibly going to jail for decades.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane.
There's an intelligence standard here that is nowhere near being met.
Well, I mean, we cover college football.
I know. $29,110,251 per sporttrack.com.
But he wants to be a thug.
Good grief.
He wants to be a thug and come at me with the oh, that's not fair, Neil. You can't explain it in any other way. Why would Greg Robinson need to be a drug dealer, Chase? Played 15 games for the Browns last year. He was going to continue to get paid. There was no reason for him to be a drug dealer.
2019, he made $6.4 million.
So what incentive is it? Play along here. Give me some answers. Don't just hang me out to dry.
No, I there is nothing.
What incentive is there for him to be a drug dealer?
Maybe he was just helping out his buddy. He's a good friend. You're driving from L.A. to Louisiana, I'll accompany you. I'll buy the Twizzlers.
Stop.
I'll buy the Twizzlers.
There's only one reason that he did that. The pressure in his circle to be a thug.
Now, $14 million of that 29 was all in one signing bonus back in 2014, but still.
Give me $14 million. Put it in my bank account. I promise you I'm not dealing drugs.
No, you can make it work. Feel good about that.
Oh, I mean, I'm 100% positive I would not go into the drug dealing business with $14 million in the bank and more to come because he was going to continue to play in the NFL, right?
What's the street value of 157 pounds of marijuana?
I mean, I don't even know what 1 ounce of marijuana is worth on the street. I have no idea.
Can somebody help in the live stream? What would a pound of marijuana be worth? I mean, we're not going to turn you in. Just give me a shot here. I have no idea, so give me.
What does it cost to buy an ounce of marijuana on the street?
Yeah.
I have no idea. No one can help us.
Well,
no one wants to admit that.
No one wants to play that game.
Yeah, I'll Google it. Let's see. I'll see what is an ounce. Someone's watching. They can come bust me. I've never done it.
They can search you and see what happens.
Yeah. An ounce of marijuana cost. The average cost of marijuana by state is what I'm pulling up here. Let's see. Where are they, in Texas?
Well,
the price
they got caught in Texas. It was going from L.A. to Louisiana.
The average cost in America is $326 for an ounce. In Texas, it's $325. North Dakota, it's $383. D.C., an ounce of marijuana is about $600. In Oregon, it's $210. The national average for an ounce of marijuana, $326.06.
$326?
Yeah. The ounce of medium quality marijuana is $266.58.
All right, so $326 times 16 to get into pounds times 157. He had $818,000 worth of marijuana.
No, you didn't do the math right there.
Didn't.
No, maybe you did.
Yeah, 326 times 16 to get to a pound times 157.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I'm not a math guy, so tell me if I'm
How
wrong.
many pounds of marijuana did he have?
157. 326 times 16.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
$5,000 a pound
Gotcha.
times 157.
There you go.
So that's right?
Yes, you're right.
1516 times.
So he's going to go to prison over a little less than $1 million worth of marijuana.
Yeah,
What an idiot.
$818,912.
What a dumbass.
Well,
What an idiot.
it's a good point. Vacuum sealed. I mean, that is a ton of weed.
Yeah, I mean, like I said.
I know, I'm just saying. I mean, it is a ton of weed.
So it says takes a lot to make an ounce. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, the amount of product required to then make 157 pounds of
And I'm assuming
ready-to-go weed.
And I'm assuming they had it vacuum sealed and packed up and
That's
stuff.
what, yeah, it was, yeah. That's what it said.
Oh, yeah, I didn't read all of it.
Yeah.
It's insane. When I first heard Greg Robinson, I thought they meant the former coach.
Yeah, runs around 300 here locally.
Is that right?
Yeah, just ask somebody who I knew would know. So, yeah. Anyway, okay.
This is not my thing. I don't have any problem with it, whatever. Just not my thing. How dumb, though, do you have to be?
Well, yeah, it's the stupidity. I'm not actually worried about the marijuana situation at the moment.
They got caught in El Paso?
Somewhere around there, yeah. The El Paso Times is where I was reading the story. That was the link I had.
Kind of wonder what that's like in those moments when you get pulled over right there.
When you know.
It's over.
Yeah.
My career's over. My money's gone.
Everything's
My
done
life's
right now.
over. He's, 25 years old?
Probably a little older than that, but 27, something like that. Yeah.
Gonna be in federal prison till you're almost 50.
He's 27 years old.
Gonna be in federal prison till he's 47 years old. What that must feel like? I mean, holy hell! What must that feel like?
Yeah. Crazy. All right, on that glorious high note, we'll close there.
High note.
Look, it's good. I was really proud back in the day when I ran that headline and said Reb's depth goes up in smoke when half the linebacker crew all got busted with weed that night at the apartment complex. Things you do with the student paper that you don't necessarily do in other places.
That would be a funny. You could have a lot of fun with this, except for the fact that at the end of the day, it's so. The other thing that you start thinking about, and I'm going to get killed here. Someone like him, as part of his legal defense, going to be that he's suffering from the beginning of CTE, that he can't think clearly, he can't judge clearly.
He does open up lots of jokes. I'm proud of you guys in the live stream right now. I'll be honest.
Matt Browning's is really funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to make the joke that I really want to make.
You got one?
I mean, this, for the Auburn family, is time for a moment of prayer.
Need a circle.
It really should circle up.
Yeah, circle up.
Yeah. Just make sure the media is there to tweet that out for the recruits.
Oh, gosh. All right. Love all of you. ContentRebelGrove.com. Again, back tomorrow with another podcast, and we will talk to you then.